YouTube Ozzico in the Goat House is back. And we had a nice last couple days here for the NFL. We had the deadline approaching for franchise tag players being able to be extended by their teams, and that kind of created this. We had three big names very recently here in the last day or so get their big contract extensions. One of them, Myles Garrett, was obviously not a franchise tag player, but since we got this recent big news for these three big-time players, I thought, let's make a video. I'm going to give you my thoughts, and we're going to give you a grade for each of these signings for these teams while we're at it here. All positives, basically. There's not going to be anything negative in this video, really, so that's the good news here. I think some people, when they see the big contracts, get a little carried away, kind of bringing out some negativity for these moves, but I think it's all positive stuff here. Some great players get to stick around. You got to spend money to win in the NFL, of course. So for the most part, we'll talk about some positives here. By week one, we want that 60K subscriber goal, so please help us out. I definitely think we're going to do it. Appreciate your guys' support. 2 channels. Please subscribe to both. Follow that Twitter. Anytime this big news happens, like the things we're about to talk about, we're instantly talking about it, like crazy on that Twitter. So you're going to want to follow that. Check out the podcast as well. There is a link in the description in the comments for anything that you may need. You'll find that in any video down below. But talk about Chris Jones first. Yesterday, the 14th, he got extended long-term. Kind of a shocker. Kind of a surprising one here because the Chiefs a week ago extended Patrick Mahomes to all that money and pretty much left him with little to no money right now and for the future, even though no money went to Mahomes right now for the most part. But they're pretty limited as it was in terms of this year's cap space. So it felt like it was impossible for this to happen. And we kind of talked about that. People were ripping the Chiefs for signing Mahomes because they won't be able to do this, they won't be able to do that. And I was saying, hold up, yeah, maybe they won't be able to re-sign Chris Jones, but they'll still be able to do other things down the stretch of the next several years, and they'll still be able to draft okay, because remember, they drafted Chris Jones, but they ended up getting Chris Jones back anyways. Their second best player, I think the second best defense lineman in football, an elite football player in my opinion. An interior defense lineman that gets that pressure. He stops the run, gets that pressure as well. It's a game-changing player. Might not light up the stat sheet every week, but you got to watch this guy to see the impact he makes. 26 years old, so he's just kind of getting going on track to being that top-tier defense lineman. He already is, really, but he's still growing is my point. 4-year, $85 million contract with $60 million guaranteed. And that averages to $21.25 per year. So you see the fourth highest paid defensive lineman. It's not including edge rushers. Fourth highest paid defensive lineman in total value, so that $85 million figure right there. And then the second highest paid defense lineman per year, so that $21.25 million, only behind Aaron Donald there, the second highest paid defensive lineman. Like I mentioned, I think he is the second best defense lineman in football behind Aaron Donald. He's the second highest paid per year. He's the fourth highest paid D lineman in total value of the contract. Another thing to those people that kind of freak out about the money, remember the money goes up every year. The value goes up every single year. So 4-year deal, fast forward to 2-3 years down the line here, how are we going to be looking at this contract? I think we're going to be looking at a pretty good deal because somebody that's probably not as good as Chris Jones might get more money. They might get more money than Aaron Donald, and he's fourth highest paid total value. So with that, I actually gave this an A+. I gave it an A+ because, one, second best player on the team, still getting better. Second best defensive lineman in football. They were not expect to get that person back. They got him back. They're able to stay great. The championship team is able to stay great. So that alone kind of puts it up there. But kind of backtracking to what I said here, fourth highest paid D lineman total value. When to me he's the second best defensive lineman in football. That's a great value, especially for a team that is spending their money on their big-time player like Patrick Mahomes. They're trying to win now. They're able to keep him around. Fourth highest paid defense lineman. And really, it wouldn't have been bad if he was higher paid than Aaron Donald, because remember, Aaron Donald didn't just get his contract now. People freak out about the quarterbacks. Kirk Cousins was the highest paid. Then Matt Ryan came in at high paid. And it just kept going. You've seen Jimmy Garoppolo get thrown in there, Carson Wentz, Jared Goff. It just kept going. It doesn't mean they're the best player at that position when they're the highest paid. Somebody will eventually jump them. And he didn't get in any category the highest paid, and he's an elite, in my opinion, elite player, but it should be everyone's opinion there. But darn close, if not. So that's an A plus. I can't really find anything negative. People, saying that they won't have any money. You said that about Mahomes too before they got Chris Jones. But those same people said that. Now they get Chris Jones. Yeah, they'll be pretty tight on the cap, but they've done such a good job drafting. It's just you can't really count on yourself to find that good, elite talent, Mahomes, Chris Jones. So and you draft, you just drafted Clyde Edwards-Helaire. That was a really smart pick. The talent, the fit, tremendous fit, and you have that running back you don't have to worry about anymore. You got him locked up long term because he didn't even play yet, and he has that extra option because you draft him in the first round, of course. So they locked that up. They've been kind of retooling the receiver position at Mecole Hardman, and I think they're doing just fine. They've drafted all these talented players. They're going to continue to trust the draft process. They found Kelsey in the mid rounds, of course. It's the best bet for your tight ends in the future. So we'll get when the times. When we're there, we'll talk about it, but maybe they won't be able to get a guy like Kelsey in a couple off seasons down the line here, but there's nothing bad about this one here, in my opinion. Moving on to the Browns with Myles Garrett. Obviously, this is the one that wasn't a franchise tag player. They decided to extend him. And this another, again, like I said in the beginning of the video, this is all positive. This is all positive stuff here. Age 24, backtracked to Texas A&M, top recruit, was a dominant player. We've seen him kind of disappear at times, not even on the field at times. They were playing it safe because they knew this guy, and he was playing it safe because he knew he was a top-tier NFL talent. And my point of bringing that up is because I think there's really no signs of wear or anything. He's got a lot, and we expect that, a guy at age 24, but you feel comfortable. You feel good knowing that this guy's got tons and tons of energy, legs, football left in him. 5-year, $125 million. It's a big number there. It's a huge number. $100 million guaranteed is a big number. $25 million per year, all big numbers. Second highest paid edge rusher total value behind only Khalil Mack of the Bears, and then the highest paid edge per year. So yeah, a lot of big numbers here, but this is so smart of the Browns to make this deal right now at 24 years old, because there is nothing out there that tells me he might not be good or he'll start to decline early, because some players do. There's nothing that says that. There is absolutely nothing that says that. So it's a safe bet. He's going to continue to play at least at the same level, which I think he'll still be worth the contract, especially if you fast forward 2, 3 years, 4 years down the line. These types of players that are this good will be getting paid more than that as well. But yeah, again, you don't want to. You're basically it's low risk to me. It's low risk because if you were to wait on this, which you could afford to wait on Myles Garrett, but if you were to wait till a couple years or the last second, I should say, to extend him, it would cost you more. So they were smart, and I believe it's an opinion, but I believe they save money by signing him now. I gave it an A. For all those reasons, I like it very much. 24 years old, a lot of football left in him, as long as he's not beating anybody with his helmet, of course. And we're all in agreement. I think he's not going to do that again, so that's great news right there. But yeah, a lot of money. It's a ton of money, and that's always a little risky, but you got to be risky to win. You got to spend money to win. You can't be saving money for nothing over there. Some teams do it. I don't get it. Maybe, the only negative that somebody can find from this is that, he's not because he's the second highest paid total value, and he's the highest paid per year, and he's not the best or the second best, but at the end of this year, I think we could start considering, and possibly, it's realistic, very realistic, up there. So those people may say, yeah, Khalil Mack's better than him, Von Miller's better than him, or whoever you may say. Some people say TJ Watt, some people won't. So there's a bunch of guys like that. Some think he's better than Myles Garrett, some not, but the next man up will get more money than this. The next contract, a bunch of those guys, they're going to get more money, so it's going to keep going up. Kind of brings every single year. People overreact from the money, but they forget. They forget that value goes up, and this will be this will be a bargain in a few years down the line here. So I gave it an A for Myles Garrett here in the Browns. And then Derrick Henry, the last one. I didn't really think this one was going to happen either. I thought they were going to have him play under the franchise tag because, the whole running back thing, and they just spent a big amount of money on Tannehill, but I wasn't really sure. I was kind of 50-50 on that, but they gave him the money. Derrick Henry at the running back at 26 years old. I thought he was the best running back in football last year. Will he be this year? That's a good question. There's a lot of solid running backs that could fight for that spot. 4-year, $50 million, $25.5 million guaranteed, and $12.5 million average. That is cheaper than I think we all thought. Maybe not a lot cheaper, probably in the ballpark, but it's cheaper. Fourth highest paid running back in total value, so that $50 million puts him at fourth highest paid in that category. Fifth highest paid running back per year at $12.5 million per year there. And those are surprising. Coming off that big of a year. Coming off, how crazy that year was for him. And pegging him at fourth and fifth highest in those categories, pretty ridiculous. I think factoring in that he's 26, I think people forget how young he is still, 26, factoring in that, he's such an important piece to the Titans, and then kind of going on top of that, another point why this is so good here is that there is not too many of these style running backs, those bigger body running backs that still work. They have that little bit of extra juice to their game. There's really not too many of them, these power backs that they're more than just power backs. So Titans were going to be kind of limited on who they can find for that role. They drafted Darrington Evans, who's a pure, quick, speed back. It's just we know what their number one needs to be. It needs to be a Derrick Henry. It needs to be, there's not too many of those guys. Chris Carson maybe he was going to be a free agent, but Derrick Henry is the better version of that. Nick Chubb maybe somewhat similar in terms of the power, but I really can't compare the two either way. Not too many of these guys that still work. So they had one right here, and they had to pay the man. Only 26. There's nothing. We've seen him sit out sometimes from, in mind. There's nothing injury concern-wise to me. Even though he sat out, at times. There's nothing major at all. Nothing that has me worried. I went ahead and gave it an A. And people don't like extending running backs, period. They don't like the big money. And I'm kind of in there, too. I'm a little hesitant. It seems to be, if you look at past contracts, what failed, a lot of teams were pretty stupid in the past. But not that stupid, because the running back position used to be almost more important, just as important as anything, really, the way teams ran the ball. But what I meant by teams were kind of getting, a little carried away. You got running backs turning 29, turning 30, and they've had some injuries here and there, and they extend them. And that backfired on them, and that wasn't smart. It's clear it wasn't smart. And also those teams that kind of weren't preparing for the league to kind of shift in terms of the offensive systems, just kind of unlucky there. This is different to me. This is a 26-year-old that is very much proven. There's nothing tells me he's going to decline or anything. He's a specific fit for this offense for it to kind of work here. There's a limited amount of options like this that will also work. I think he could have got more. I think fourth highest paid total value, fifth highest paid per year. If that's probably what's keeping it from an A+. It is a little scary, very risky, extending the running backs. But for everything I explained, I don't see this really backfiring. I really don't. And people are going to say it will just because other running backs. But look at those. Look at how the offense system's changed. Look at the running backs that were extended. They're a little older, or they had the injury concern. I'm not really seeing any of that here with Derrick Henry. I know they pounded the ball quite a bit to him, but still, the wear should not pop up anytime soon, in my opinion. 4 years, I think is good. Maybe perfect world, 3 years. To hit before 30, but he's going to turn 30, and that's probably going to be it for him with the Titans, unless he wants to play cheap. Because I'm sure something's probably going to change by then. The system, maybe they won't need this specific style, but it's just hard to come up with anything negative. I know people, I see a lot, mainly Twitter. I guess that's Twitter. I should expect it. A lot of people kind of really all these contracts trying to find ways to rip them, but I keep bringing this up. You have to spend money to win. The Chiefs just won the Super Bowl, and they're spending money on these big-time players that they found, and people are somehow ripping them. Derrick Henry got the Titans not alone, but pretty close to that. You get my point. To the AFC Championship game. I don't see any of these as, even though some people might, as repaying a guy, which I don't really like. for their services in the past, but it's not what it is here. These are great players. All three are great players that these teams pretty much need, and they definitely need their help to win. So why not? Those teams that are sitting back afraid, they're being afraid. They're afraid to spend money. They're afraid to get better. I always bring that up. You can't be afraid to get better. Those teams are suffering, and that's the difference. So these moves have to be made. They have to be made, and I like all of these. People will argue with me. I like all of them. But yeah, you can let me know your thoughts, your grades. It'd be pretty cool to see everyone's grades in the comments down below. And please smash that like button. We really appreciate that. Subscribe to the channels. But that's gonna do it. Thanks everyone for watching. Goodbye.